When humanity was still in a primitive state, the Aegean region had already given birth to brilliant civilizations. This sea is located in the eastern Mediterranean and is surrounded by the Greek peninsula, Anatolia, and Crete, like a blue gem embedded in the vast Mediterranean. Here, warm sunlight bathes the coastline year-round. Gentle breezes ripple across the azure waters, and waves whisper tales of the countless miracles that once unfolded on this land. The geographical environment of the Aegean provided unparalleled conditions for the birth of ancient Greek civilization. Mountains and plains alternate across the peninsula, offering fertile land for agriculture and natural harbors that facilitate maritime trade. This unique geographical advantage allowed ancient Greeks to begin seafaring activities early on and accumulate rich cultures and technologies through interactions with neighboring regions. During the early stages of Aegean civilization, the Mycenaean and Minoan civilizations were two of the most significant representatives. Mycenae, located in the southern part of the Greek peninsula, was a city-state known for its military strength. They built strong walls, grand palaces, and developed complex administrative systems. Meanwhile, Crete, with its unique geographical location, became a crucial hub for maritime trade. Its residents established thriving cities as early as around 2000 BCE, including the famous Palace of Knossos, whose exquisite architecture and murals continue to astound later generations. Although the Mycenaean and Minoan civilizations differed in many aspects, both had a profound influence on the formation of Greek mythology. Early humans often felt unable to understand or fear natural phenomena. They began to anthropomorphize these unpredictable forces, giving them extraordinary abilities and personality traits. In this way, complex natural laws were simplified into lively and fascinating stories. For example, in the Aegean region, people frequently felt threatened by earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and sea storms. To find explanations, they created many gods associated with these phenomena. The earth goddess Gaia was believed to be the mother of all things and could control the power of the land. Poseidon, the god of the sea, ruled over the vast ocean and controlled storms and fish reproduction. Over time, the ancient Greeks developed a complete mythological system. These stories not only explained how nature worked but also reflected their understanding of life, death, and social order. In this cultural context, humans began to realize their place in the universe and sought meaning in life through myths. However, during the development of civilization, the Aegean region experienced several major transformations. Around 1200 BCE, Mycenaean civilization suddenly declined, and its cause remains a mystery to this day. Some believe external invasions caused this, while others speculate it may have been due to internal social unrest or natural disasters. Regardless, the fall of Mycenae marked the end of an era and paved the way for the rise of Greek city-states later on. Despite this, the spirit of Aegean civilization did not disappear. Instead, it was preserved through myths and art and continued to influence people's thoughts and lifestyles in later generations. These ancient stories not only served as inspiration for literary creation, but also provided philosophers with a foundation for reflecting on human nature and social issues. In summary, in the dawn of Greek civilization, the Aegean region, with its unique geographical environment and cultural traditions, gave birth to a wealth of myths and legends. These stories are not only the crystallization of early human wisdom, but also valuable resources for understanding ancient social structures and mental worlds. By studying these precious legacies, we can better understand ourselves and feel the aspirations and pursuits of our ancestors for a better life. In the beginning of the universe, amidst chaos, the first deities emerged: Uranus and Gaia. They were personifications of heaven and earth, creators of all things. Uranus was the sky god, symbolizing the boundless heavens. Gaia was the earth mother, embodying the fertile land and the force of life. Their union was a cosmic miracle, their love not only creating the world but also giving birth to the earliest Titan generation. The story of Uranus and Gaia began in chaos. At that time, the universe was in disarray, with no distinction between heaven and earth, nor alternation between day and night. Uranus arose from the chaos, spreading his arms to uphold the vast sky. Gaia awakened from the depths of the earth, stretching her body to bring vitality and prosperity to the world. Their union was perfect, Uranus's vastness complementing Gaia's abundance, together giving birth to a new cosmos. Initially, Uranus and Gaia ruled this newborn world. They created the first generation of Titans, these powerful gods possessing immense strength and wisdom. The names of the Titans echoed through the skies, their power unmatched, their intelligence fearless. However, as time passed, Uranus became increasingly tyrannical. Fearing his position might be usurped by the young Titans, he began cruelly treating them. Among all the Titans, Cronus was the wisest and bravest. As Uranus and Gaia's eldest son, he could never gain his father's approval. Uranus harbored suspicion towards his sons, fearing they would one day replace him. Therefore, he imprisoned all the Titans in the deepest depths of Tartarus, a place known as the underworld of darkness, the darkest and coldest region of the universe. Yet, Cronus was not intimidated by his father's cruelty. He knew of his own strength and wisdom, firmly believing he could lead his siblings out from under Uranus's oppression. Thus, he began plotting an audacious rebellion. Secretly, he contacted the other Titans, sharing his plans with them to overthrow Uranus and reclaim their freedom. After long preparation, Cronus finally launched his attack. He led all the Titans, his brothers and sisters, out of Tartarus, directly targeting Uranus' rule. The battle was fierce, shaking the heavens and the earth. In the end, under Cronus' leadership, the Titans succeeded in overthrowing Uranus. Rulon banished him to the distant western sky. However, Cronus did not become the kind ruler that people had hoped for. He inherited his father's cruelty and paranoia, beginning to rule his brothers and sisters cruelly. The Titans once again fell into darkness and oppression, their freedom taken away once more. Amidst this despair, a new power was rising silently: Zeus. He was the son of Cronus and Rhea, possessing unparalleled strength and wisdom. Zeus clearly understood his important mission to overthrow Cronus' rule, liberate the Titans, and bring true light and freedom to the world. After years of preparation, Zeus finally challenged Cronus. He led the new generation of gods, the Olympians, launching a tremendous war against the rule of the Titans. This conflict was called the Titanomachy, one of the greatest battles in the universe. In the end, under Zeus' leadership, the Olympians successfully overthrew Cronus, ruled and imprisoned him in Tartarus. Zeus became the new ruler of the universe, and his reign marked the beginning of a new era. He established a new order, enabling all gods and creatures to live in peace and prosperity. From then on, Mount Olympus became the home of the gods, and Zeus' rule brought stability and tranquility to the world. Mount Olympus was the home of the gods, and the most magnificent palace belonged to Zeus. His throne, made of gold, symbolized his supreme power and majesty. Every day, Zeus summoned other deities to discuss important cosmic affairs in the Olympian Council. The gods held great respect for his rule while also enjoying the prosperity and happiness brought by peace under Zeusship. Around the mountain, the palaces of the gods were arranged in a beautiful manner. Each deity had their own residence, decorated exquisitely and filled with magic. These palaces not only reflected the gods' status and power, but also showcased their individual personalities and abilities. For instance, Poseidon's underwater palace was full of water element power, while Hera's throne emitted endless radiance. The summit of Mount Olympus was Zeus' domain, accessible only to a few select gods. This was the core of the universe and the source of the gods' power. Zeus made rules, issued commands, and maintained cosmic balance and order here. His rule symbolized wisdom and justice, while also representing supreme authority and responsibility. In the Olympian Council, the gods collectively discussed major affairs to ensure cosmic harmony and stability. Despite their individual personalities and powers, they united in times of crisis to face challenges together. As the leader of the council, Zeus consistently guided them with wisdom and fairness, enabling this ancient divine family to continue thriving and developing. On Mount Olympus, the gods each fulfill their roles to maintain cosmic order. Zeus is the king of the gods, with power over lightning and storms. He represents authority, justice, and wisdom, but often causes conflicts due to his arrogance and stubbornness. Hera is Zeus' wife and the protector of marriage and family. She is beautiful and dignified, but is known for her jealous and tyrannical nature. Despite this, she holds a lofty position on Mount Olympus and is seen as a symbol of feminine power. Poseidon is the god of the sea, controlling waves, storms, and marine life. He has a fiery temper and often causes great disasters out of anger, but he is also the protector of fishermen and sailors. Athena is the goddess of wisdom and war, known for her intelligence and strong character. She is Zeus' daughter, born from his head, symbolizing pure strength and wisdom. Apollo is the god of light, music, and prophecy. He is handsome and charming, beloved by many. He represents harmony and order and also has the ability to heal diseases. In Greek mythology, the relationship between humans and gods is complex and delicate. On one hand, the gods created humans and endowed them with wisdom and strength. On the other hand, humans must follow the will of the gods, offering sacrifices and prayers to gain protection and blessings. However, gods and humans do not always coexist harmoniously. The gods often impose punishments or trials on humanity due to their own desires and arrogance. For example, Prometheus was punished by Zeus for stealing fire for humans, being bound to the Caucasus Mountains where an eagle ate his liver daily. Icarus flew too high out of excessive confidence and ultimately fell into the sea. These stories reflect both cooperation and conflict between gods and humans. Finally, it tells of Mount Olympus' central position in the cosmos and its influence on Western culture. However, the story of Prometheus is not solely one of tragedy. In the end, this great titan was rescued by Heracles. Heracles shot down the eagle that tormented Prometheus with his bow and arrows and broke the chains that bound him. At last, Prometheus was freed from his long suffering and regained his freedom. The story of Prometheus is one of the oldest and most profound myths in human civilization. It is not merely a legend of courage and sacrifice, but also a symbol representing humanity's eternal pursuit of knowledge, progress, and freedom. From a philosophical perspective, Prometheus' actions symbolize humanity's defiance and challenge against divine authority. By bestowing his wisdom and power upon humankind, he propelled the progress and development of human civilization. This spirit inspires future generations to break free from constraints and pursue truth and enlightenment in times of hardship. From an ethical standpoint, the story of Prometheus serves as a reminder that true greatness does not lie in possessing unlimited power, but in the willingness to sacrifice for the well-being of others. His suffering symbolizes the noble quality of enduring pain for the happiness and welfare of others. This spirit has become one of the fundamental sources of morality and values in human society. Furthermore, this myth has had a profound influence on art and literature. From ancient Greek tragedies to modern literary works, the story of Prometheus has been continuously adapted and reinterpreted. He has become an ideal symbol for artists to express humanity's pursuit of spirit and the dilemmas of morality. On Mount Olympus, the gods lived a carefree life. One day, a beautiful fruit caught their attention, a golden apple. It was said that this apple could grant boundless power and beauty. Three goddesses coveted Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. Each believed she was the most deserving of this magical fruit. Zeus, unwilling to involve himself in the dispute, ordered a young man named Paris to make the decision. Paris, the prince of Troy, was renowned for his wisdom and beauty. To win his favor, the three goddesses each made an enticing promise. Hera vowed to make him the most powerful ruler. Athena promised to grant him unmatched wisdom and warrior skills. Aphrodite, however, pledged to give him the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen. Paris ultimately chose Aphrodite, captivated by her beauty. Thus, the golden apple was awarded to her, and Paris was granted the opportunity to meet Helen. Helen was the wife of Menelaus, the king of Sparta. Her beauty was said to rival that of the divine. When Paris arrived in Sparta, He was immediately enchanted by Helen's charm and decided to take her back to Troy. Although Helen's heart remained with her husband and children, she could not resist the temptation under Aphrodite's influence and ultimately followed Paris, leaving her homeland behind. This event sparked an uproar. The Greek city minus states united, vowing to wage war against Troy to reclaim Helen. King Menelaus of Sparta and his brother, Agamemnon, king of Mycenae, became the key leaders of this war. The Trojan War attracted heroes from all over Greece, who eagerly joined this grand adventure. Among the most famous were Achilles, the son of Peleus and the sea goddess Thetis. He possessed unparalleled strength and courage. His mother attempted to grant him immortality by dipping him into the river Styx, but since she was interrupted by Hera, the attempt was incomplete. Achilles became the mightiest warrior in the Greek army, and his presence struck fear into the Trojans. Heracles Hercules, this demigod hero, was renowned for his 12 labors. Although he did not personally participate in the war, his son Eurybates and his nephew Achilles fought alongside the Greek forces. Icarus, left by Heracles, also played a significant role in the war. The heroes of Troy was not without its own champions. Warriors such as Hector, Paris, and many others fought bravely against the Greek invaders. At the outset of the war, both sides displayed extraordinary combat prowess. Troy's walls were impenetrable, and its warriors were fierce, preventing the Greek forces from making an easy breakthrough. However, Greek cunning and strategy eventually prevailed. They devised the famous Trojan horse trick, successfully infiltrated Troy, and launched a surprise attack at night. The Trojan War lasted for 10 years, filled with countless unforgettable stories, from the legendary duel between Hector and Achilles to Helen's eventual return. Each event was marked by both tragedy and heroism. In the end, the Greeks emerged victorious, and Troy was completely destroyed. The Trojan War was not just an ordinary conflict, it symbolized the intertwining forces of strength, wisdom, and destiny. It revealed the complexities of human nature, both good and evil, beauty and cruelty, while highlighting how power and desire shape human fate. This legendary war has been passed down through the ages, becoming a cornerstone of Western literature and culture. In Greek mythology, Heracles Hercules, in Roman mythology, was a demigod hero whose story is filled with courage, strength, and sacrifice. He was not only one of the most famous heroes of ancient Greece, but also a prominent figure in Roman mythology. His legend revolves around the completion of 12 arduous tasks, known as the 12 labors. Each labor was a tremendous test of his physical strength, wisdom, and willpower. Through these trials, he not only proved his might but also demonstrated human resilience and bravery in the face of adversity. Heracles' story begins with his birth. He was the son of Zeus, the king of the gods, and Alcmene, a mortal woman. Zeus, enamored with Alcmene, disguised himself as her husband and conceived Heracles with her. However, Heracles' birth was not easy. Alcmene faced great difficulties during labor due to the divine and mortal blood flowing through her veins. Ultimately, with Zeus' intervention, Heracles was born, and from the moment of his birth, he exhibited extraordinary strength and courage. According to legend, as an infant, Heracles displayed his divine strength when the giant serpents were sent to assassinate him. Unafraid, he strangled them in his crib, demonstrating his future greatness. Heracles undertook the 12 labors as a means of atonement, tasks assigned by his uncle Eurystheus. Eurystheus, a son of Poseidon and the king of Sparta, imposed these labors as punishment after Heracles, in a fit of rage, tragically killed his own family. Each labor held deep symbolic significance, representing different virtues and qualities. Slaying the Nemean lion, this giant beast was impervious to weapons. Heracles strangled it with his bare hands and kept its belt as a trophy. This labor symbolizes overcoming fear and confronting formidable enemies. Killing the 9-headed Hydra, this creature regenerated to heads for every one severed. Heracles ultimately burned its stumps to prevent rebirth. This labor represents perseverance in confronting seemingly insurmountable challenges. Capturing Kerberos, the three-headed guardian of the underworld, had to be captured alive. Heracles negotiated with Hades and brought the beast to the mortal world. This labor symbolizes the fusion of courage and wisdom. Capturing the Erymanthean, or this destructive boar, terrorized the Peloponnesian Peninsula. Heracles subdued and delivered it to Eurystheus, symbolizing the union of strength and strategy. Cleaning the Augean stables, these stables had accumulated filth for decades. Heracles cleverly diverted a river to wash them clean, symbolizing intelligence and innovation. Defeating the alien birds, these deadly birds attacked with toxic projectiles. Heracles used a bronze shield to reflect sunlight and startle them into flight before eliminating them. This labor represents resourcefulness and strategic problem-solving. Capturing the Iron sacred deer that Heracles had to capture without harming. After a year-long chase, he succeeded, symbolizing patience and persistence. Defeating Antaeus giant who regained strength from the earth, his mother Gaia. Heracles realized that lifting him off the ground weakened him, leading to victory. This labor signifies wisdom and understanding one's enemy. Retrieving the golden apples, these apples, guarded by 3 dragons and 3 nymphs, were in the garden of the Hesperides. Heracles outwitted the guardians to obtain them, symbolizing resisting temptation and facing danger. Capturing the Cretan bull, a raging bull sent by Poseidon. Heracles subdued it and delivered it to Eurystheus, symbolizing power and control. Slaying the Gorgons had snake-covered heads and turned people to stone. Heracles used a mirror to reflect their gaze and successfully beheaded Medusa, symbolizing composure in the face of terror. Capturing Charon, the underworld's ferryman, had to be captured without the use of weapons. Through negotiation with Hades and displaying his courage, Heracles succeeded, symbolizing bravery in facing the unknown. Even after completing the 12 labors, Heracles' adventures did not end. These trials were only the beginning of his legendary journey. He continued performing heroic deeds throughout Greece, including his involvement in the Trojan War and other mythological events. Heracles' story is not just a tale of power and bravery, it is a testament to human perseverance and determination in the face of adversity. His legend has inspired countless people to confront their fears and challenges, overcoming them through strength and wisdom. Ultimately, after completing the 12 labors, Heracles ascended to Mount Olympus, becoming a god. He received Zeus' recognition and became an immortal figure. His story remains an eternal legend, symbolizing courage and resilience in human struggle. In ancient Greece, Daedalus was a brilliant architect and inventor, whose story is closely tied to that of his son, Icarus. Their tale serves as a classic allegory about humanity's pursuit of freedom, technological advancement, and the consequences of arrogance. Daedalus, a renowned craftsman from Athens, was known for his exceptional architectural skills. However, his fate was not smooth. According to legend, he accidentally killed his nephew, Talos, a young architect, and was exiled to Crete. As punishment, King Minos imprisoned Daedalus and his son, Icarus, in the labyrinth of Knossos. This labyrinth, designed by Daedalus himself, was an intricate and nearly inescapable maze. Minos confined Daedalus because he resented him for aiding his wife, Pasiphae, in her unnatural union with a divine bull, which resulted in the birth of the Minotaur. Minos ordered Daedalus to construct the labyrinth to imprison the creature while also trapping him and his son inside. Despite being trapped, Daedalus refused to abandon hope. Realizing that escape by land or sea was impossible, he turned his eyes to the sky. Observing birds in flight, he conceived a plan. Daedalus crafted wings using wax and feathers. He meticulously attached feathers to wooden frames with melted wax, creating lightweight yet sturdy wings. He also made a smaller pair for Icarus. Before their escape, Daedalus sternly warned his son, "My child, you must listen to me. Do not fly too low, or the sea's moisture will weigh down your wings. Do not fly too high, or the sun's heat will melt the wax. Maintain a middle course to ensure your safety." Despite Daedalus' repeated cautions, the exhilaration of flight overwhelmed Icarus. He longed to soar like a bird, experiencing boundless freedom. His pride and excitement led him to ignore his father's warnings. At dawn, father and son took to the sky from the rooftops of Knossos. Daedalus flew steadily, soon disappearing into the horizon. Icarus, however, was enraptured by his newfound ability and yearned to fly even higher to prove his courage and strength. Tragically, as Daedalus had foreseen, the sun's heat softened the wax-binding Icarus' wings. One by one, the feathers detached, and his wings lost their structure. Frantically flapping, he struggled in vain before plummeting into the deep blue Aegean Sea, vanishing beneath the waves. Thus, the tale of Daedalus and Icarus stands as a timeless lesson on ambition, restraint, and the consequences of overreaching. While innovation and the desire for freedom drive human progress, heedlessness of limitations can lead to downfall. Odysseus stood on the deck, the sea breeze brushing against his cheeks with its salty taste. He had been drifting for years, leaving the battlefield of Troy and embarking on the journey home. However, fate did not seem willing to let him return so easily. The first stop was a mysterious island inhabited by a sorceress named Caranthos. She told Odysseus that only with her help could he find the way home. But her demand was unusual. She wanted Odysseus to solve an ancient riddle, one that concerned the fate of the entire island. Without hesitation, Odysseus accepted the challenge. The sorceress led him into an underground labyrinth, where he encountered a colossal bronze beast, its body covered in mechanisms and traps. Only through wisdom and courage could Odysseus unravel the puzzles and ultimately find his way home. In the labyrinth, Odysseus faced numerous dangers: talking animals, hidden enemies, and various eerie phenomena. Yet he remained calm and rational, solving each problem one by one. Finally, after a series of trials, he successfully solved the sorceress's riddle and obtained the clue to his way home. After leaving Caranthos Island, Odysseus continued his voyage. This time, he arrived at a place known as the Sea of Mist. The waters here were perpetually shrouded in thick fog, making it easy for ships to lose their way. Many adventurers had lost their lives in this treacherous sea. However, Odysseus was undeterred. He devised a plan using starlight to guide his course. He instructed his crew to light bonfires and hang lanterns all over the ship so that even in the densest fog, they could find their direction. In the Sea of Mist, Odysseus also encountered a group of strange beings, the offspring of centaurs and giant whales, possessing both immense strength and wisdom. These creatures attempted to stop him, but Odysseus used his eloquence and intelligence to persuade them, ultimately gaining their assistance. At last, Odysseus successfully passed through the Sea of Mist and arrived in an uncharted ocean. There, he met a mysterious old sailor who told him that only by passing through a tremendous storm could he truly find his way home. Odysseus did not waver. He and his crew prepared to face any challenge. They reinforced the ship, stocked enough food and water, and hoisted banners symbolizing hope. When the storm struck, Odysseus stood atop the mast, leading his crew through the disaster with his wisdom and courage. After countless adventures and hardships, Odysseus finally saw the silhouette of his homeland, Ithaca. However, the road home was not smooth. When he returned to Ithaca, he found that the island had undergone great changes. His wife, Penelope, was surrounded by numerous suitors, and his son, Telemachus, had already grown into a man. Odysseus decided to disguise himself as a beggar and infiltrate the palace to observe the situation. He discovered that although Penelope was harassed by many suitors, she remained faithful and hopeful for his return. Meanwhile, Telemachus was secretly protecting his mother, preparing to avenge his father. One night, Penelope hosted a grand banquet, inviting all the suitors. Seizing the opportunity, Odysseus demonstrated his strength and wisdom by shooting an ancient bow and arrow through a target, proving that he was the true king. Everyone present was astonished. They could not believe that this seemingly ordinary beggar was actually Odysseus. Penelope and Telemachus finally recognized him, embracing him with tears of joy. Meanwhile, the suitors who had tormented them met their deserved punishment. In the end, Odysseus was reunited with his family and restored as the king of Ithaca. His wisdom and courage not only brought him home but also earned him the respect and love of his people. This story teaches us that no matter how great the difficulties, as long as we maintain firm faith and a keen mind, we will surely find our way home. In the kingdom of Colchis, there was a young princess named Medea. Her father, Aegeatos, was the king of this land, and she was foretold to be at the center of a great disaster. However, before her fate fully revealed itself, Medea lived a peaceful life, though she was always curious about the world beyond the palace. One day, a ship from Greece docked on the shores of Colchis. Aboard were a group of young heroes on a mission sent by Jason's father to retrieve the legendary Golden Fleece. Among them, Jason was the bravest and most determined. His goal was not only to complete the task, but also to prove himself worthy of royal lineage. When Jason set foot on Colchis, he was immediately captivated by Medea's beauty. Her intelligence, courage, and curiosity about the unknown mesmerized him. Likewise, Medea was deeply moved by this foreign hero. Though she knew her fate might change because of him, she could not suppress the love blossoming in her heart. Jason's mission was far from easy. According to legend, the Golden Fleece was guarded by a fierce dragon that never slept. To obtain it, Jason had to overcome countless obstacles. Yet, with Medea's help, everything seemed possible. Medea knew her father's attachment to the Golden Fleece and understood that he would never surrender it to outsiders. Therefore, she decided to use her intelligence and magic to assist Jason. She secretly prepared a potion that could put the dragon into a deep sleep. Additionally, she revealed the exact location of the Golden Fleece and the details of avoiding the traps guarding it. On a moonlit night, Jason followed Medea's plan and stealthily approached the place where the Golden Fleece was kept. Carefully evading all the traps, he finally stood before the dragon. When he sprinkled the potion onto the beast, it immediately fell into slumber. Jason swiftly seized the Golden Fleece and returned to his ship. However, as they were about to leave Colchis, Medea made a bold decision. She chose to depart with Jason, knowing that this meant leaving her homeland and family forever. Her choice shocked everyone and set the stage for her fateful journey ahead. After returning to Greece, Jason and Medea lived a period of happiness. They married and had 2 children, but as time passed, Jason began to long for his homeland and the responsibilities he had left behind. He gradually distanced himself from Medea and started a relationship with another young woman, Hera. When Medea discovered her husband's betrayal, she felt an overwhelming heartbreak and fury. However, her sorrow did not make her surrender. Instead, she resolved to use her wisdom and magic to take revenge on Jason. Her plan was to make Jason pay for his actions in the cruelest way possible. In her quest for vengeance, Medea first set a trap that led to the tragic deaths of Jason's 2 children. Then she turned her attention to Jason's greatest love, Hera. In the end, through her meticulous planning, Jason lost everything he cherished: his family, his status, and his happiness. However, despite her successful revenge, Medea paid a terrible price for her actions. She became a sinner in the eyes of both the gods and the people, and her life fell into an endless cycle of pain and regret. Medea's story is a tragic song of love, betrayal, and revenge. Her fate not only reflects the struggles often faced by female figures in ancient mythology, but also reveals the darkest aspects of human nature. Though she possessed intelligence and power, she ultimately could not escape the chains of fate, becoming a tragic figure. Yet, the significance of Greek mythology goes beyond telling heartbreaking tales. These myths are the crystallization of early human thought, offering profound reflections on nature, life, and society. From Prometheus stealing fire for humanity, to Oedipus struggling against fate, to Medea's tale of vengeance, these stories are more than ancient legends. They are explorations of human nature and moral dilemmas. Though the history of Greek mythology has faded into the past, its influence transcends time and space. From literature and art to philosophy and psychology, these stories continue to inspire generations. They teach us how to face the challenges of fate, how to find balance between love and hatred, and how to remain steadfast in our pursuit of ideals. As Medea's story demonstrates, light and darkness coexist within human nature. And it is precisely this complexity that makes Greek mythology so captivating. These myths remind us that in our pursuit of happiness and freedom, we must also learn to bear the consequences of our choices. The history of Greek mythology is not just a legend of gods and mortals. It is a grand epic that reflects humanity's eternal spiritual quest. These stories tell us that no matter how the times change, the essence of human nature remains the same, and those ancient myths will forever serve as beacons illuminating the human soul.